Hi, this is Jennifer Collins. This is week one of Module 4 for the University of Dayton's TEFL certificate.
My name is Carolina Carrillo, so let's get started.
All right. Okay, so we had a first discussion question. Let me just go up to it here. What are your beliefs about the role of grammar in foreign language learning? I think grammar is pretty important. I think it helps give students a way of thinking about the language that they're learning, but I don't think it should be the only thing that they learn. I think students would get really bored if they focus entirely on grammar. What do you think?
Okay, before reading, I wrote that that it is important, but it's not essential.
Mm-hmm.
So I agree with you. It's really important, like to master grammar to a certain extent, but it's not the
Mm-hmm.
only thing in the classroom.
Yeah,
And
I agree.
yeah, it depends on levels, right? On the levels you teach. I mean, if you're teaching, let's say, beginners, then maybe
Yeah,
vocabulary is more important than grammar.
yeah,
But
that's really
I
true.
guess, yeah, to summarize, it is important, but it's not everything in the classroom.
For sure. And especially when we're talking about learning English as well. I think it's a little, teaching grammar in English is a little different than teaching or learning grammar in Spanish from my experience. But I don't know. Maybe we can talk more about that later.
Yeah, but I
Uh,
think it's quite different. I mean, for either a Spanish native speaker or for an English one, it's difficult to realize things in a different way. Things work in
mhm,
a different way, like regarding order and the sentence structure when you organize and yeah, everything works
mhm.
differently.
Yeah. Okay, so the three-dimensional structure of grammar. So this is the second question. Why is it important not only to consider form, but also language use and language meaning in teaching grammar? What do you think?
Well, I think we have the answer at the end of the paragraph about
Yeah.
this topic. Students need to know the dimension target, so they must, they may need to know when to use things properly.
Mm-hmm.
So not everything fits all contexts. I guess that's
Yeah.
the point.
Yeah. Yeah. But I also think one of the I'm guessing that the point part of the or the point of part of this is um, that it's really important that that students look at grammar as part of a holistic
Hmm.
approach to learning a language, because I think I tend to teach intermediate and advanced English classes, and students sometimes get really focused on grammar as if it's the only thing that's important. But meaning like gets at like the importance of vocabulary, the importance of communicating, making sure that grammar is not the only thing that they're focusing on. What do you
I
think?
agree. It's a component. I
Yeah.
mean, inside like the whole thing, and it's not like it can be the basis of the four skills, maybe, if we
Sure.
regard it this way, but it's not like the axis. Can I say that? Like
Uh-huh. Yeah.
yeah, the main part of yeah, of learning a language.
Yeah. Right. And the other thing that I think is important in that use component is that I think it's also important to sort of try to teach grammar in the order of importance. Does that make sense? Or the order of frequency. So like if there's a grammatical, if there's something that's pretty prevalent in English, that's very common, a very common form. I think it's really important to teach those grammar concepts first, and then kind of like leave the more auxiliary things for later. What do you think
I
about
agree.
that?
Yeah, it makes no sense teaching like these grammatical points that are like really complex or that a student may never use, like
Right.
in real life. So yeah, the idea is like to guide the use of grammar to the re to yeah to reach functions, you know, like
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
yeah
Yeah.
to be able to do things in real life.
Right. Exactly. Yeah, I completely agree. And then the more the less common, forms can come later.
Yeah.
Okay, so then I think on to question 3. Which approach to grammar instruction do you primarily use? How does it work for you? What are its advantages and disadvantages? Would you try other approaches? Why or why not? Discuss your thoughts with your peers.
Okay,
Um,
well, I think it depends on the course purposes and students' levels.
yeah,
So
I think
I
that's
guess
true.
let's say the PPP1 may work well for students, that need like a complete process. Like
Yeah.
they need to be guided from the very beginning. Then they need some time for practice, and they can produce things on their own. But I guess it depends on levels because I would say the teaching process, the one by Krashen, is like very useful for the early stages.
Uh-huh.
That way, students may not feel like threatened or, like
Yeah.
afraid of facing grammar.
Right.
But then if we focus on form, it may happen that it may be more suitable for the higher or the highest levels.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it's related. For me, it's kind of related to the course's purposes and to students' levels. But
Yeah.
that's how I see it. I think I can work, or I've been working without even being aware, the three,
Mm-hmm.
let's say, approaches.
Uh-huh.
Maybe you're not aware or you're not, like conscious about this, but you can like switch from one approach to another one. I mean, if it's not working in the class.
Right. For instance, like in the form section where it talks about focusing on form, input where it says input flooding, so that whole thing about how you choose something that has like an overwhelming well, not overwhelming, but like a prevalence of a certain grammatical form. I find that really useful. I think that's really helpful for students because you can use a text and talk about the form in context, if
Hmm.
and also model it for students, because really with a lot of grammatical forms it doesn't make any sense unless you have examples.
You're right.
Um,
Would you
but
try
I
a new approach if we find there's something new? Would you like to try
Yes.
it?
Would you? Yeah.
Yeah, that would be great. Yeah.
Well, I think, okay, like I think the disadvantages of some of these are that it's a little bit hard to find examples where there is enough of the grammar that you're looking for. Do you know what I mean?
Yes, I do.
That's where I
Yeah.
struggle. Even sometimes textbooks that are trying to teach a particular point, they'll have like 3 examples of something in a text, you know, that's a reasonable length of a text that you could teach in a classroom.
Hmm.
And it's not enough. You really need like 5 or 6 at least examples. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, and the exceptions too. Just like to
Exactly.
clarify, yeah, things are not like working all the time the same way.
Yeah, exactly. There have been a few times that I've got into a class and I'm all prepared with my examples and like, so excited to teach something, and then the student raises their hand and they're like, "But what about this?"
Yeah.
No,
Yeah, it
I
happens.
didn't think of that.
That's true. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's real life teaching.
Yeah. I would definitely be open to using more of these. I wish that they would help in this course give us some more concrete examples about
Yeah, that would be great.
how we could use them. So like for instance, if we're gonna I mean, it still seems like the focus is kind of on grammatical concepts. So if we're focusing on form, what is it like? Give me a good, situation where I could teach.
Hmm.
I mean, and I do this from time to time, but like a good situation to teach, like if I had $1 million, the second
Hmm.
conditional, I would buy a boat.
Hmm.
Like it's hard to find examples where that really comes up in natural conversation.
Hmm.
Like it doesn't, you know?
That's right. Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah, we need more examples. You're right.
Uh-huh.
And more, let's say, approaches. That would be great.
Exactly. Exactly. I completely agree.
Yeah, we could
Okay.
like innovate. Okay,
Yeah.
and the fourth one is about feedback, right?
Okay.
So, yeah, I read these examples were very useful because the explanation was like quite complex.
Uh-huh.
So,
Yeah.
I guess the examples in this section were very useful. Well, I think
Yeah.
the types, let's say, of feedback I use more frequently are recast and
Uh-huh.
repetition. I use them because I think they don't make students feel that bad. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? They don't feel like on the spot when you correct mistakes this way. I think it's a way of approaching language in a natural way, and I guess that's why it works. I never correct grammar like in a very explicit way, like mentioning, let's say, um, like being hard, or
Uh-huh.
yeah, I try to be like natural when correcting
Yeah.
mistakes.
Yeah. One of our coworkers taught a model class for us, and she kept asking, "Can you say that again?" When the students made a mistake. And I thought it was really helpful because usually the student noticed and then corrected the mistake.
Hmm.
But I have to get more in the habit of doing that myself. A lot of times I will restate. So I'll say what they've said, but like back to them, correcting the error. And
Yeah.
sometimes that works. Oh, this is the repetition, sorry. Sometimes that works, but sometimes they don't always hear the error. You know what I mean?
Hmm. Yeah. And I guess, or I think, yeah, we have like to be very coherent with the way we teach grammar and with the way
Mhm.
we correct it. So if
Yeah.
we're working, let's say, to lead our students through an inductive process, then
Hmm.
asking them something like, "Can you repeat that again?" would be very useful because
Yeah.
it's like following the same pattern, let's say. And
Uh-huh.
yeah, but if we never ask them like to find things on their own, that would be difficult to try to correct them this way.
Yeah. Yeah. I think so too. Okay, 5. Taking into consideration your FL learning and teaching experiences, I'll make a short list of your own grammar teaching principles or maxims. Okay, I made a short list of 4 of them.
Okay, I
Uh,
made 4 too.
oh, okay,
Tell
cool.
me yours.
Magic
I'm
number.
I'm eager to listen.
I'm sure they weren't they were just really broad. I think grammar should be useful. So sometimes there are certain, like we talked about before, there are certain, especially when you get into the upper levels, you get certain people kind of obsessing over things that aren't very useful in English, I think. I think grammar should be helpful but not repetitive. And I think it should be varied. So I think it should be broad. I think the teacher should prepare to shift focus as well in the grammar if
Hmm.
necessary. So I think that's really important. What did you put?
Okay, so I think Okay, yeah, of course, everything is related to grammar.
Uh-huh.
So no matter the specific purpose of a language course, it will focus on functions of the
Uh-huh.
language. So that's the idea, like to get to know grammar, to do this, to
Uh-huh.
be able to do this. Students need lots of opportunities to interact. So
Uh-huh.
it's not only about giving them
Yeah.
explanations, but also opportunities to practice.
Yeah.
In the first levels, they will be guided in the discovery of grammar.
Uh-huh.
In the highest ones, they will try to find it by themselves.
Yeah. Yeah. That makes sense.
And feedback must always be formative so that students feel encouraged to correct their mistakes.
Oh, those are
Well,
really nice. Those are really thoughtful.
yeah,
Yeah.
these are my principles. I'm gonna try to put them into practice.
Yeah. I know.
Yeah, it's difficult to like to have everything under control sometimes.
Yeah. 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 I like
So
this. What number two is about function? Is that right?
number one is about
Number one.
functions.
What did it say?
No matter the specific purpose of a language course,
Uh-huh.
it will focus on functions of the language. That would be
Uh,
like the yeah,
like
like the idea of teaching grammar. You know, like specific purpose would be like to use it in real life situations.
yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I think that's really nice. Yeah.
Mm.
I keep wanting to make like grammatical concepts that I keep teaching. Like I kind of keep wanting to like see a chart where they're lined up with various activities in real life where you would use
I
them.
remember these. Do you remember these reading about I don't know, learning for survival? Was it?
Yeah.
Remember that
Yeah.
the topic was it a zombie thing? Do you
Uh-huh.
remember
Yeah,
in
the
the
zombie
previous
thing.
modules? Yeah, so it was
Yeah.
like kind of a fun way to approach students
Yeah.
to a specific topic. So maybe that's the point, like to try to
Yeah.
yeah to use these type of resources
Yeah. I
to
think so.
make lessons attractive.
Yeah, definitely. Um, okay. That was it, right? Those are
Yeah,
the five
I think
questions.
so. Do you have any
Cool.
extra comments or questions or
Mm, no, I do not. I haven't done the observation yet. Have you?
I haven't. Yeah,
Okay.
I was
All right.
still working on the previous reading because I was like really busy, and as I
Yeah.
told you, I couldn't enter the course before. So yeah, I guess that's all we had like to cover here in the Hangout, right?
Yeah. All right. Well, we can sign off then, I guess.
Okay, so
See you
it's
later.
great that
See you
you're
next week.
my yeah, you're my hangout partner again. So that's great.
Yeah.
You're very responsible.
You
That's great.
too. Thank you. Thank you. All right. So I'll see you next week, Carolina.
Okay,
Bye
Jennifer, see you then.
bye.
Bye.